Welcome to Insidebikes, welcome to southern Spain, welcome to the launch of Ducati's new Panigale V2 that uses the new V2 engine. Now this is a hugely interesting bike in many ways. So before you decide to switch off or fast forward, just bear with us because this is a bike that you really need to listen to. Firstly, it's a complete new bike for Ducati. So it's a complete new engine, complete new chassis, complete new ergonomics, styling, everything is completely new. And for the first time in my probably journalistic career, which has been over 25 years, the new V2, the new model, has less power than the previous bike. So generally speaking, every bike that we test is lighter, faster, stiffer, more flex. And that's what it's been like for sports bikes since the 90s, really. But actually what Ducati have done is given us less horsepower. So we've got 120 horsepower from this new V2 engine, which is around 35 horsepower less than the previous bike, which is a significant jump. But they've compensated for that by reducing the weight, which is around 17 kilograms lighter. Now, 17 kilograms lighter on a motorcycle is a huge amount of weight to lose. If you think about it, that's about the same as your luggage you're allowed at Ryanair these days, which is about 18 or 19 kilograms. But it's a huge amount of weight, or it's a full set of panniers. It's a colossal amount of weight that they've saved. But they've done that because the new engine is lighter, the new chassis is lighter, the wheels are lighter. They've saved on weight. So the old bike was faster but heavier, and this bike has less power but is lighter. So the power to weight ratio is pretty similar. When they've done back-to-back testing against the old bike, you would expect the old bike to be a lot faster because it has significantly more power. But in back-to-back testing with a professional rider, the bikes have been pretty much the same. But what is interesting is when they've had a normal rider or a rider in a fast group or an ex-racer, that time has been the other way and they've actually gone quicker on the less powerful V2, which is lighter. And when the rider comes a little bit less, like a fast track day rider, that gap is changed even more and the average rider is going faster on the standard V2 than they did on the old Panigale, which had more power. And the reason for that is they've reduced weight, tried to make the bike much easier to ride and much more fluid and much more easier, and also given us a host of electronic rider aids to keep you on the track. So we've got Ducati wheelie control, Ducati traction control, engine brake assist, cornering ABS, multiple rider modes and multiple power modes. And we've had the opportunity to test this bike here at this lovely track just outside Seville, which is a brand new complex. To ride a new bike on a new track, it's got to be pretty easy, it's got to be friendly, and it's got to be easy going, and that's exactly what it is. This track is really demanding. It's kind of in places a bit like Mugello, a bit like Donington, a bit like Alton, or a bit like Portimao. It's very blind in places, it's very tricky. And the last bit of the track is all second gear and just bang, bang, flip, flop, kind of like hall bends with hall bends on top of hall bends. It's incredibly tight. But this bike is so easy and so manageable and so easy to flick through that section. And then with the engine, if you're in fourth and you should be in third, it'll pull through. It's got that drivability. It's got that twin power to pull you through the corner. Ducati are claiming that 70% of their torque is from 3,000 RPM, 80% of their torque is from 4,000 RPM. They're quoting peak power, as we said before, of 120 horsepower. So that torque and drivability is really interesting. It makes it user-friendly, it makes it easy to ride, it makes it almost effortless in some of the corners that you can just, if you're in the wrong gear, it doesn't matter. And remember, this bike is in this real super sport category. So it's going up against ZX6s, CBR6s, the R6, which are these legendary handling bikes, but you've got to be so precise and really rev the arse off them and be so precise with the RPM. Where with the Ducati, you don't really need to do that. You can afford to be a bit lazy. Then as you develop, as you learn the track, you can start to push the limits. You can turn down the rider aids. You can see what rider aids are working from the dash when you're in race mode, so you can see if you're using the traction, you can see if you're using the wheelie control. It turns into a little race bike, which in many ways it is, and it's been incredibly fun to ride. What makes it so much fun for me is how easy it is to ride. And because it's easy, it gives you, I wouldn't say a false sense of security, but it allows you time to think. It allows you time to pick a line. It allows you time to have some fun. It allows you to drag your elbow on the floor should you want to. It gives you that capability and time, which when you ride a big, powerful 1000cc bike, you're always chasing it and kind of like in a little bit of a mild panic, where this feels very lazy, very easy, very manageable. And again, it just gives you that time, which means I've been able to choose my brake points, I've been able to choose my acceleration points, I've been able to learn the track in what I feel is relative safety. And it's been enjoyable. So we've done 6 sessions in 22 degrees heat, and at the end of it, I wasn't exhausted, I wasn't absolutely battered. I could have done 7 sessions, 8 sessions, 9 sessions, where when you ride the big powerful bikes, obviously after you've done 6 sessions, you kind of know about it, especially when you get to my age. But it's not just a bike for the track. Ducati claim that this is their best superbike on the road ever made. Wow, that's a statement in it to come from Ducati. Their best superbike on the road. And they have changed the ergonomics. The bars are a bit higher, the pegs are a bit lower, it's a little bit more roomier. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the bike is like on the road. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like against the competition. But on track here at this lovely, lovely Fast in Places track just outside Seville, it's been just so enjoyable and rewarding to ride. In fact, I can't remember that I had this much fun and this much enjoyment with just 120 horsepower. It's so rewarding and so fun. In terms of negativity, I think there's kind of 2, maybe 3 for me. It's great fun on this track, and it's going to be great fun in the UK. Cadwell, Alton, Mallory, some of the smaller, twistier tracks. But maybe if you get to Silverstone and you're up against thousands, it gets a little bit frustrating because it's going to be so fast through the corners and so fast and late on the brakes, and you can get on the power so early. You can fly in a really, really good lap time, but when you get on the straight, you're going to get those super bikes coming whizzing past you, which might be slightly frustrating. And then in terms of price, we're looking at 16,995 for the S and 14,995 for the Standard. The S and the Standard have identical power, they have identical torque, it's all down to the chassis. So on the S, you get fully adjustable Öhlins. On the Standard, you get fully adjustable Marzocchi front and rear, but power and everything else is exactly the same. So are the brakes, so are the electronics, so are the rider aids. So you're basically just paying for the suspension. As I said, I don't know what it's going to be like when we put it against bigger bikes. I don't know what it's going to be like when we put it against the competition. It's going to be massively interesting when we do. But I've just thoroughly enjoyed this bike. Don't get me wrong, I love riding the V4S and the V4Rs and the big powerful exotic bikes that are 20, 30,000 pounds with 220 horsepower. But there's just something really enjoyable about riding this bike with 120 horsepower and very, very little weight. It's 179 kilograms. Ducati are quoting wet, no fuel, which is incredibly light. And if you put the race kit on, you lose another 10 kilograms off that. So you drop it down to 169 kg and 126 horsepower. And for me, that's enough. I don't need any more than that. I would so love to take this bike to Cadwell or Alton and just throw it out in a fast group and just enjoy it. It's got the potential to be a great road bike. We've already ridden the Multistrada V2, which has a similar engine, and that works really well on the road. The ergonomics should be more relaxing, but in terms of what it's like today, hugely, hugely enjoyable. I think a lot of riders need to get over the fact that they don't need over 200 horsepower. I think a lot of riders need to be a little bit more honest. I personally, when I was doing a little bit of racing, always went quicker in the supersport category than I did in the superbike on the roads. And I would love to try this in race trim. But a hugely enjoyable bike. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, please fire them below. If you've got any technical details, again, we'll fire them below. Hopefully in the future, we'll put this against the competition. It's really interesting to see this category emerging again and coming alive again with the new CBR. The ZX6 is still in there, the F3 is still in there, now we've got the Ducati in there, KTM might have a twin around the corner. It's really, really interesting category, really, really interesting and hugely interesting that Ducati have given us less power, less torque, reduced weight, but increased fun. I think that's the simplest way of putting it.